This is Future Men Audio, where we talk about supporting a better future for every boy, every man, and everyone. Part 3. What do boys at school and young men in the community have to say about masculinity? This is the third part of the series, sharing insight from the service user perspective of masculinity. In the last installment, we heard from fathers and young fathers brought together as a focus by future men to talk about the topic. In this blog, we will be hearing from boys in school and young men who attend one of the youth clubs managed by future men. School group structure. Future men met with 4 boys aged 14 and 15 at a secondary school in Wandsworth to talk about masculinity. The key focus was to create an open atmosphere that was conducive to discussion. As with the groups of the previous blog, each individual was given a series of sentences that might represent some people's views of masculinity, which they then had to place under a heading of strongly agree to strongly disagree, providing a rationale. The discussion was then open to the group for wider reflection. What did the group say in general? At a very high level, the boys held flexible views of masculinity typified by the following statement: if the man and the woman work 9 to 5, then the housework should be done equally. If the woman does more work out of the house, then the man should do more housework. Simple. Diving deeper, the statements on the cards can be grouped into categories such as physicality, housework, income generation, parenting, and emotional literacy. Of all the statements, the most contested was men have to provide for their family. Individuals in the group each had unique experiences of parenting. One person shared they had grown up in a single parent, mother-led family, so in their experience, there was no man to provide. It was my understanding that this person was concerned that agreeing with the statement might invalidate his mother in some way, though I did not share this thought for concern of upsetting him. Another person has grown up in a single parent, father-led family and shared, even when there is a man and a woman, I would still expect the man to provide. He was asked if this statement was more general in regards to fulfilling a responsibility or if it was in regards to being a man. He responded, I would want to provide more. I can't explain it more than that. A third person stated that he felt there was no reason why a man should provide more than a woman. He referred to the statement, men need to earn more than their partners, saying, that makes no sense whatsoever. What if you go out with a really smart girl and she gets a really good job? Why shouldn't she earn more? One of the things they strongly agreed on was that men should take risks rather than play it safe. Something they strongly disagreed on was men who talk about their feelings are weak. Another thing that they were in the middle about was people who take advantage, or people would take advantage of me if they thought I was sensitive. And one of the things that they disagreed on was men should be good at sports. One of the young people said men need to be able to protect their family, which was a statement in relation to men need to be muscular. The group challenged this person's view, saying that muscular meant a physical appearance as opposed to being able to defend oneself. Through discussion, what came out was that this particular young person did not feel very capable of defending himself, referring to himself as scrawny. He reflected that he would get murked, beaten up, if he were to get into a fight with another young person in the group. Further discussion illuminated many in the group felt that physical size can offer protection. One person shared they thought their size may play against them, as he felt he was often viewed and treated as older than he is. These comments could indicate a number of dynamics within this age group. During adolescence, there are frequently large differences in the physical stature of young people, and these differences can influence their perspectives. Another indication is that adolescents are potentially more physical in their approaches to one another, and this dynamic might influence how they see their ability to defend themselves, hence the use of the word protection over physical appearance when considering the statement, men need to be muscular. Interestingly, the need to defend oneself or be muscular did not translate into needing to be good at sport. One boy said, I know I'm a man, but I am lame at sport, so that's in disagree. Or, as a man, people need to respect me. Respect has to be earned. It's got nothing to do with being a man or not. One respondent said that he felt both his mother and father influenced his sense of masculinity. He felt that both sexes modelled what it means to be masculine through how to think, behave, or emote both to oneself or the person of the other sex. The group confirmed this by placing men need to do the same housework as women, and dads need to look after their children as much as mothers. Both parents have the same responsibility to the child. It don't matter if you're a man or a woman. The earlier statement about sharing responsibility of housework is also an indicator of applying a framework of equality. Equality, however, could spill over negatively in other areas of daily interactions between boys and girls. During the focus group, there was a long and lively discussion about boys and girls fighting. I have seen girls slap boys across the face as if they're using the fact that they are girls as protection, said one person when the discussion moved into equality in physical actions. Another person said, if you're going to act like a man, then get treated like a man, i.e., if a girl is going to be physical towards a boy, then they should expect the same in response, according to this young person's statement. As a group, we discussed the dynamic of physical strength and how the group had previously agreed that boys were generally physically stronger than girls and that this brought a level of responsibility. Across the group, there was a reflection that this is a difficult area as they felt there was no way for boys to win in situations like this because either you do nothing and then you look weak, or you do something and then you get done for beating up a girl. When the group was asked if they would have structured their responses differently if they had been in their home nations, one young person responded, of course, in Jamaica a lot of this would have been very different. As with other focus groups, there was a strong recognition that culture plays a significant role in how individuals understand masculinity. If nothing else, this is a testament to the fluidity of gender constructions across cultures. Similar statements have been made about the influence of time and the perception of masculinity, though not specifically by this group, possibly because they were still too young to have that perspective. This statement was reflected in the positioning of the card, people would take advantage of me if they thought I was sensitive. This was put in the middle because it's okay to show a bit of sensitivity to a girl because, well, they aren't a boy, and if you show any weakness to another boy, then yeah, they would probably take advantage of you. This was totally contrasted by the statement, men who talk about their feelings are weak, as the group agreed that it was good to talk about how they were feeling. Unfortunately, we did not have a chance to analyse the differences the group saw between being sensitive and talking about how they were feeling as a group. Moving the focus slightly to young men at one of the youth clubs, a group of 4 young men aged 18 to 23 from various backgrounds came together at one of the clubs managed by Future Men. The structure of this focus group differed from the others in that a conversation tool was not used but rather an open discussion fostered. The feeling was very much that this group of young men held quite traditional views of masculinity, those of provider, women not needing to work, but also competition between the sexes. To reflect the difference in delivery, this section will be conveyed to reflect a theme followed by statements made by the members of the group. Starting with provider, and these are quotes from the young men. From 17, boys need to start making some money to help out around the house, paying bills and stuff. Not all of them, but help out, you know. Another boy said, girls don't have to do that. They just have to go to school and get good grades. Another one was, you can't be 20-something asking mumsy and dadsy for handouts. Come on. And one of the last ones in that was, if a person was handed a business by their parents, I wouldn't consider them a man. You've got to make it for yourself. Additionally, ethnicity and culture dominated viewpoints. One of the boys said, I get a lot of my thoughts from my parents, but I can be more flexible. And another statement went, it's different now than it was for my dad. He had to go out and work. I can choose to work or study, but I still have to make money and put food on the table. And another point of discussion was, women shouldn't have to work. And the statements were as follows. It's not so much that women can't work outside the house, but they shouldn't have to. And another one went, women should mostly be looking after the house and the children. And the third one, if the man and the woman work outside the house, it's still the woman who should do most of the cooking and the cleaning. And this was rounded off with the last statement, I would feel bad if my wife earned more than me. There was also some discussion on pressures being different for boys and girls. Statement 1 went, yeah, girls are doing better at school, but they don't have to think about making money for the family. They can relax and look after children. And the second of the two statements, you've got to be able to look after your family financially and physically. If someone threatens your family, you've got to be able to beat them down. As the conversation went on, it went on to things like changing social norms. And they said things like, things are changing. Look at top companies. Women are climbing the ranks. And yeah, women are leveling up and men have to do the same. There was also a sense of competition between the sexes. Like, people have to make money. It comes down to making money. That's what London is for. Make your money and get out. Or could respect a person who makes money legally, but would still admire a person who made money, a lot of money, illegally. Another one was, if a man can make his money and conduct himself like that, present as humble and not brag about his drug dealing, then yeah, I respect him. And another, I can respect a person who works in Asda because that's his grind. But I feel pity too because they're not going to have any status. Money was a dominant association with masculinity, though social power was also featured heavily in the conversation. We talked about suicide and social ill health in men, including the prison population, homelessness, and alcohol abuse, with the view to discussing why they thought men were overrepresented in these areas. The participants were forewarned that the topics can be challenging and that if they wanted to disengage from the focus group, they were allowed to. As the conversation continued, though, more things came out, like maybe there's just too much pressure on men and they can't cope, or it might be a midlife crisis in reference to the highest proportion of men taking their own lives aged between 40 to 49. Or men don't want to speak about their problems. And then there was, they've got to be strong. So to conclude this section, the focus group held what might be termed traditional norms of masculinity more closely than other groups. It is possible that opposed to the other groups, of fathers or the boys in the secondary school, this age bracket, combining with other characteristics, were the group closest to the ideals that they were espousing, but also felt a great distance from achieving those ideals. Whatever the cause, this group held their views firmly. In the next installment, we'll be looking at the views of young men and men at risk of not being in education, training, or employment. You have been listening to Future Men Audio. To find out more, go to www.futuremen.org. That's www.futuremen.org. Or connect with us on Twitter at FutureMenUK or LinkedIn under Future Men.